So officially, on behalf of the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs and the Institute of International Education, we welcome and thank you for joining our pre-departure webinar today. This webinar will be recorded and emailed out to all registrants. My name is Jen Biro. I'm a regional advisor for the Gilman International Scholarship Program, and I'm joined on this webinar by my colleague Stephanie Dermer and by two of our Gilman alumni who will be helping to provide valuable insight today. Charlie and then Kendall, would you like to please go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Kendall Brown. I am currently a senior at Purdue University, and I studied abroad in Greece in the spring of 2025.
Hi, sorry about that. My screen froze for a second. Hi, I'm Charlie Brooks. I'm a Gilman ambassador, obviously, and I studied abroad in Cannes, France in May of 2024.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for joining us. So during this webinar, we'll be going over information to prepare you for your study or intern abroad experience, what to keep in mind while abroad, and how to make the most out of that experience, including some great tips from our Gilman alumni. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please type them into the Q&A box at any time, and we'll answer them toward the end of the presentation. The Gilman program was established by the U.S. Congress in 2001 and is a program of the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, or ECA. ECA designs and implements educational, professional, and cultural exchange and other programs that create and sustain the mutual understanding with other countries necessary to advancing United States foreign policy goals. All right, so before you go, we have some health reminders from the Gilman program. These are important to consider and research before you go abroad. So first, be sure to check out which vaccinations may be required or strongly recommended in your host country or region. You can check the CDC website and international SOS. If you are currently on any prescription medications, be sure to confirm that your specific medication is allowed in your host country because laws vary around certain medications. Some websites you can check include the CDC, the US Embassy in your host country, and Mobility International USA. Depending on how long you will be abroad, you may need to plan ahead. Make sure you have enough medication for your entire program, or look into how you can get refills while you are abroad. You can consult with your domestic and/or international insurance on that before you depart. We recommend packing your medications with you in your carry-on in case your checked baggage gets lost or delayed, and make sure the medications are in their original labeled containers. Studying abroad is challenging and involves leaving your comfort zone. And while this is where a lot of growth happens, it can also be hard on your mental health. You can prepare for this ahead of time. Consider what works for you in the US when you're struggling. Think about your support systems, how you manage stress, and your coping skills. You can put a plan in place before you go to make sure you have access to similar support while abroad. For example, you could encourage your family and friends to download WhatsApp so that you can message and call using Wi-Fi. And next, we have a few reminders on what to do before you leave to make sure you stay safe while abroad. Find out what the equivalent for 911 is in your host country because the emergency number may be different. We recommend reviewing the country safety advisories through the U.S. Department of State and international SOS. Please print and carry your ISOS membership card. This can be accessed through the Abroad section of your Gilman portal. We also recommend making copies of all travel documents, including your passport and any visa pages you might have. Make sure you keep them separate from the originals and/or save them digitally. Next, we recommend trying to understand your insurance ahead of time, so reading through your coverage, familiarize yourself with how claims are made. If there are prepayment requirements, you'll want to check these and reimbursement policies before you go abroad, should you ever need to use it. You can refer to our one-pager, it's an international insurance checklist on our safety and health webpage for more pointers. As a Gilman Scholar, you have access to the benefits of international SOS during your time abroad. So some of these benefits include 24/7 consultation for general medical or security questions. You can contact ISOS by phone, email, or live chat, and we recommend downloading the app. Some examples of questions they can help with are shown on this slide. You also have access to up to 5 free counseling appointments, virtually or in person when available. In addition to referral resources, International SOS is able to support you in the event of an emergency or if you need to suddenly evacuate your host country. You are required to register your trip through the My Trips feature of International SOS. Instructions on how to do so are in the recipient tab of your Gilman portal, and that is also where you will find the Gilman membership ID. All right, on to some packing tips. So we know it's hard to imagine fitting everything you'll need into a suitcase or backpack for your entire program, but here are some tips to keep in mind when packing. First, consider your location. What will the weather be like, and will you need to pack for multiple seasons? What are the cultural norms around acceptable attire in your host country? We do recommend bringing comfortable, durable clothes that can be easily mixed and matched to make multiple outfits. We also recommend packing light, so remember you'll want to have room in your luggage for gifts and souvenirs upon your return. It's also up to you to transport your luggage, so you'll need to be able to carry it easily. Some things to consider leaving at home are straighteners, curling irons, blow dryers. Most of the time, these aren't compatible with outlets and voltages in other countries. If you need to bring these items, make sure they can be used in your destination. Another one to leave at home, bulk toiletries. In most places, you won't need a large bottle of shampoo or enough toothpaste to last your entire program. Unless you'll be in a very remote location, you can often buy these things abroad. Some toiletry items, however, like feminine hygiene products or solid deodorant, are not available everywhere, so do your research on this before you leave. We don't recommend bringing really expensive looking jewelry, as this can make you a target for thieves. Also, leave irreplaceable family objects at home. You don't want to risk losing those abroad. And we don't recommend carrying around extra credit cards that you aren't going to use. All right, so first question for our alumni to weigh in on, what packing tips do you all have? Did you bring too much? Or was there something you wished you had brought with you when you went abroad?
I can answer this first. So for me, I am like a chronic overpacker. I can't help it. So I kind of had to go 50-50 with my instincts and what was reasonable. So it was very helpful to have packing cubes. I don't know if y'all like know what those are, but they're basically just cubes that you can put your laundry, your clothing, and have it nicely assorted in your suitcase. One thing you don't want to do is just to roll all your clothes up bare in your suitcase. If you have to go through customs, sometimes they might open up your suitcase and all your clothes will go flying everywhere. That's happened to me before, never again. But really, you just want to make sure that you don't pack anything too bulky. I had a nice all weather coat. It was thin. It could roll up very nice. I recommend things that can roll up nicely and clothes that don't wrinkle easily if you're worried about them like not having a steamer. That worked for me, but really packing cubes kind of saved my life. So that's just some things that I packed. But um, most places will have hair things because I know that's a big thing for like girlies or my guys might be my guys as well. just don't fret too much because you will be able to get some things while you're over there if you absolutely need it. But you just want to prioritize necessities and organization when you're packing because it's really going to matter when you land. So,
I'm also a really big overpacker, so I only stayed there for a week, so I had the liberty of like only needing like necessities, I guess. I will say if you don't like I only stayed in hotels, so I didn't have access to like a washer and dryer. So if you know you're not gonna have access to that, like pack some extra stuff. Because I packed like the bare minimum of like jeans and I ended up like falling down a hill and ruining one of my jeans. So I was just missing a pair of pants for a day. So don't be me, pack like an extra pair there. I did bring a hair straightener. I thought it was useful, but mine's pretty thin and tiny, so I was able to fit it okay. And then I left some like extra space in my suitcase because I knew I would want to bring some stuff back. So make sure you leave some extra space if you want to bring some stuff back.
Thanks, Charlie and Kendall. That's really helpful. I'm going to also display a few more tips in terms of what we recommend putting in your carry-on luggage versus your checked luggage. So we recommend confirming with your airline ahead of time about any baggage fees and weight restrictions for your checked luggage. It's also important to keep in mind what would be good to stay with you in your carry-on versus what can be checked. Obviously, you'll need your passport and your visa information with you on the plane. But we also recommend keeping your arrival information, so the address where you'll go after you land and how you'll get there on you. We also recommend keeping prescription medication within airline restrictions, glasses, and an extra pair of contacts in your carry-on. In case something happens to your checked bag, you'll have those essentials with you. And don't forget Ziploc bags to help organize liquids per airline security policies. And finally, it's a good idea to keep valuables like your laptops and tablets with you on the plane. All right, now I'll hand it over to Stephanie to discuss communications while abroad.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so a few things about communications is while we encourage you guys to take advantage of your time abroad and not spend too much time connecting back home to really immerse yourself in local culture, it is important to make sure you have a way to communicate with both friends and family in the US and new friends that you make abroad. There are lots of free messaging services like WhatsApp, Skype, FaceTime, or iMessaging that don't use cell data when you're connected to Wi-Fi. So if you do turn the cellular data off on your phone, you can use a lot of these services without accumulating roaming fees. Do keep in mind that cell phone coverage and data vary by country. So check with your cell phone provider first on what your options might be to use your phone internationally. For example, if you're a T-Mobile customer, several of their plans include unlimited texting and data. You can also look into getting a local phone and setting up a pay-as-you-go or a monthly plan to communicate with people in your host country. Or if your current phone is unlocked, you can switch out your US SIM card for a new one in your host country, or many times, many countries allow you to purchase an eSIM. Do check again with your cell phone provider to see all your options and review those options before making that big decision. Some programs, however, do require that students have a local number or a phone that can receive calls and texts in case of an emergency. So make sure that you understand those requirements too. Remember that for most countries, you will need an adapter for any electronics. Adapters vary by country, but you can typically buy them in the US and pack them in your carry-on. And I know that many of these adapters can be multi-world region adapters, and so those are always great options as well. But for our alumni ambassadors, how did you guys communicate while you were abroad? Cell phones? What sort of messaging apps did you guys use? If you don't mind sharing that with us. And Kendall, can I have you start us out first?
So I used my cell phone. We as a group use GroupMe, but I also had like an unlimited like a broad data plan that I have on my family plan, so I was able to use that and also text the people I was staying with as well.
So in my case, I used that very, very good. Absolutely love WhatsApp. And for data, like cell service, I used one of T-Mobile's international plans. I will say I didn't know about SIM cards or eSIMs. Not that I didn't know they existed, but I hadn't thought of it as an option. So T-Mobile actually ended up being more expensive than a eSIM or SIM card. So compare your prices and decide like what you want to go through when getting, good cell service. But that's just one thing I wish I would have done different. And got like a physical SIM card or eSIM over the T-Mobile who kind of overcharged.
That's great. Thank you both. Yeah, and definitely make sure you guys compare and contrast how long you're going to be in country and how much the cost of different plans might be, because that can easily factor into your choice. So definitely do your research and do those comparisons to really make it more budget friendly for you all. Um, Next, once you guys have completed your recipient requirements, so that's all those requirements in both the dashboard and that recipient tab in your Gilman portal, and your documents have been approved, you will then gain access to a third tab in your Gilman portal labeled Abroad. In this section, we ask you guys to confirm your arrival in your host country. Again, all this is done through the portal, not by phone or email to us. You also want to provide updates to your contact information. And the timeline that we tend to look for is to confirm your arrival and also update that contact information within 72 hours of your arrival. You should add contact information where we can actually reach you while you're abroad. If your US cell phone number doesn't work abroad, please do add a number where we can reach someone who will know your whereabouts. You also will confirm your flight itinerary is registered through International SOS's My Trips so that you can receive important alerts. These requirements are in place in case of an emergency. In an emergency, you can expect to hear from lots of different people at once, family, friends, your program, your US university, potentially the US Embassy abroad, and also the Gilman program. To really help manage that situation, please be sure to update all of these different parties. You can even send an email to everyone at once saying, this is my location, I'm healthy and safe, here's my plan, and here's what I need help with. And that will really ensure that you get the support that you need while abroad. If you are in a location where maybe you haven't settled in past that 72 hours, do go ahead and email your Gilman Regional Advisor just to let us know that there is a reason for your delay of that 72-hour window. We do understand sometimes it's hard to get settled first. So yeah, so let us know of any delays. Next, just some reminders on what to keep in mind to really ensure that you stay safe while you guys are abroad. First, do know the local laws. There may be some things that may be acceptable in the US, which might not be in your host country. So when in doubt, it's always good to check. Do always be around of your surroundings. If possible, do travel with somebody else or know when, where, and how it's safe to travel. Some of this information may be available online, but we recommend checking with your program as they are more familiar with your specific area. And lastly, be aware of your belongings. In some places, pickpocketing and theft is a common issue. Make sure you always keep an eye on your belongings, use bags or purses that cannot be easily accessed, and never leave anything unattended, like on the floor or on the back of your chair, as somebody can take it without you knowing. Also, don't carry large amounts of money or valuable items with you when you can help it. Instead, we recommend storing them in a safe and secure location. Um, Additionally, for your help, Keeping healthy is really important during your program, so we strongly recommend maintaining your regular health routines as much as possible. We recognize access to activities and certain foods will vary, but if you love to stay active, look into how you might be able to do that safely while abroad. Similarly, if you know you need a lot of sleep, make sure to make an effort to get to bed a little earlier. And mental health is a key part of your time abroad too, as Jen had mentioned earlier. And we really do encourage you guys to take time for self-care, even if that means you have to say no to going to an event. Remember what has helped you navigate challenges in the past. Maybe you can do the same things while abroad. An example, is there a friend or a loved one that you can call to talk through your feelings? Or does journaling or taking a walk help you to process a stressful event? And we'd love to get the opinions of our alumni ambassadors. Do you guys have any recommendations on staying healthy while abroad? Is there anything that you guys did ahead of time or while on program that really helped you guys when you came across difficult situations that you were trying to adapt to? And Charlie, can I have you start us out this time?
Yeah, so actually when I was abroad, I had something really, really upsetting happen while like studying the French language. I got a call that I actually didn't get a job or an internship. And it was very, very upsetting. And to get through it, I really had to just put my phone all the way down. It was no phones. I went out on a walk. I looked at the beautiful French Riviera, and I just lived in the moment, like even more so, because if I focused on things that were out of my control, things all the way back home that were already handled because I didn't get the position, even after pretty much being told that I did have it, it was a whole thing. I just really I got really lucky that my friends, sorry about that, that my friends that I did make um were so supportive, and we just treated it like normal, and we had a really good last few days. I stayed for a month, so it happened at the very end. It was kind of like shocking. It was like, wow, it was going so well, but anything can happen, and you just want to continue being who you are. You don't want to ruin. Well, I don't want to say ruin like it's bad. It's okay to be upset, but enjoy it while you can. Basically, so that's how I do it.
Um, I would definitely kind of know where you're gonna be at. Like where I was at in Greece, it was really hard to find like water. So if you know you're gonna be in a place where you're walking a lot, and you know that you need to like keep hydrated, because it was really hot there, make sure you have like a bottle of water that you can like refill up because I would get really bad headaches, because I was just so dehydrated. And then also just be careful. I like one of the first days I was there, I was hiking an hour away from a hotel and I was standing on like some stones and they caved out underneath me and I went rolling down a hill. And so I was injured like the rest of the trip. So just like be kind of cautious of your surroundings and like don't do stupid things that will kind of make it harder for you to do the rest of your trip. And if you do get hurt, make sure that you talk to whoever's in charge, see if they can give you anything. So just be safe and be careful.
Thanks, guys. Those are actually perfect examples of things. But as always, everybody do check in with any program representatives there with you, a faculty member that might be leading your program. We also have lots of resources that we'll go over, I think, in a little bit. But do make sure you talk to people for sure while you're abroad with any concerns as to your health and safety. And so next, we wanted to provide you guys different aspects of how to make the most of your experience abroad. For a lot of you, this might be the first time you're traveling outside the country, and doing some research on your abroad destination can really go a long way. It's really helpful to have a solid understanding of where you're going and the culture that you'll be joining, even if it's for a short time. You can find a variety of information from different online resources, including blogs, by connecting with somebody you know who has already studied or interned abroad in that same country or with the same program. Through research, you can better equip yourself to communicate with locals, handle some of the cultural differences that might arise, and form realistic expectations before you depart. We also encourage you to set goals for your time abroad. There's so much to gain out of this experience beyond what you learn in the classroom. So it's good to go in with an idea of some goals that you want to achieve and revisit them to make changes while you're abroad. Some examples of this include, do you want to learn more about the culture, immerse yourself in the language, navigate the public transportation, learn specific skills from your internship, or maybe just connect with individuals in your professional industry. Reminding yourself of your values and purpose for going abroad can really help you cope when navigating the inevitable challenges that you will come across that do stretch you outside of your comfort zone. So remember, the growth that you experience while abroad can be both exciting and challenging. Focusing on your purpose and values, again, can help you overcome those obstacles with grace and resilience. We have prompts in the goal setting tile in the Abroad tab of your Gilman portal to sort of assist you with getting that thinking started throughout your program. You may also want to make an effort to befriend locals instead of hanging out only with students from your program. You can ask local people where they go for entertainment or food recommendations, and you might be surprised what hidden gems that you find. It's also helpful to remind yourself that you have your own cultural biases that may be clouding your understanding of a comment or situation you come across while abroad. If you have a local friend that you trust, you can ask them about the conversations and situations that you experience. This can be, again, program staff, local people you live with, and again, friends that you make during your time abroad. Also, while you're abroad, remember that you are a citizen diplomat representing the United States, the Gilman program, and also your home institution. So it is really important to be respectful at all times. Your actions, both positive and negative, are likely to have long-term repercussions for future participants of your program. Of course, you are abroad to study or intern. As a student, you should attend all classes, do your homework diligently, and show respect to your professors. As an intern, you should arrive on time or early to work, do your assigned tasks carefully, and show respect to your coworkers. Do be sure not to express negative opinions or generalizations about the host country. Remember that you are a guest in somebody's home and school or workplace and country, so do be respectful and courteous. You don't have to limit your learning just to the classroom. You'll learn far quicker by getting out, and instead of going straight home after you're done for the day, try to spend your time maybe in local markets and community spaces where you can listen to the language and observe a different way of life all around you. So, putting it over to our alumni ambassadors again, how did you guys actually make the most of your time abroad? What tips do you have for engaging directly with the local culture? Was it classes, your goal setting, prepping yourself through research? And Kendall, I'll have you start us off.
My biggest resource was like our group leader. She like helped with a lot of like all the schools that came through the program. And she lived in Greece. She was from Greece. And so she had a lot of like useful advice for us. And I'd always message her like, "Hey, where do you recommend we go see on our downtime? Where do you recommend to go eat?" It was a lot different than what like our actual study like abroad advisor like recommended to us. So it was really cool to see like as someone who lived there like what they recommend to do in your downtime.
Um, I'll say I made the most of it by documenting, like taking a lot of photos and videos, um, going to as many places as I could just because, and definitely making a friend that helped a lot because we're actually still pen pals, and I have to send her Christmas card when I get back home. But we just she would encourage me to go wherever. Like, okay, you want to take the train? We can go to Monaco for the day because we went to Italy, we went to Monaco, we went to all these museums. just on the train. It wasn't a whole bunch of money. We just were walking around. We were surprised by what we saw. And we took really good photos. She's a photographer, so that really helped. We just enjoyed ourselves so much. It was really nice. We weren't on social media. That helps a lot. I did not open TikTok for like that whole month. I was there. It was awesome. It was really good. So I definitely recommend a TikTok cleanse. And that's just really what I did. So I recommend the same for anyone else. Oh, and speak the native language. Don't be discouraged if someone starts talking over you in English. Just keep speaking in the native language if you're trying to really immerse yourself. So that helped me. So.
Right. Thank you guys. Those were great suggestions. And I am seeing some of your questions in here, but we're going to hold those questions to the end. So we will answer those, by the way. All right. Next, some fun information is as a Gilman Scholar abroad, you may receive invitations to events hosted by U.S. embassies, the consulates in your area, Education USA advising centers, or Fulbright commissions. We highly recommend that you attend. These are wonderful opportunities to meet new people in your host country, including fellow Gilmans, build your professional network, and even practice the local language with others. The first image on the slide is Gilman Scholars in India participating in a pre-departure orientation event for students going to study in the US. The second image is the inaugural group for the Gilman EU Brussels Study Tour in Belgium. We have held several Brussels study tours since, so keep an eye out for different opportunities like these study tours. And additionally, the U.S. mission to the UN agencies in Rome held study tours for scholars to learn about the UN system and the UN food and agricultural agencies that help combat the global crisis. So there are different events that both Gilman, but also different agencies abroad may reach out and contact you about. So do keep an eye out for those notifications. They'll either be direct emails sent to you, or we'll send out general notifications. Even if you are not able to attend an event abroad that we've reached out to you about, or the US embassies have reached out to you about, please do respond to any invitation you receive as a courtesy. Invitations, again, will come via email, so make sure you're checking your email while abroad. If for whatever reason the formatting of that communication seems a little off to you, do reach out to your Gilman Regional Advisor, and we're happy to help clarify whether that is a legitimate opportunity or not. So do always feel free to let us know about any opportunities that you're notified about that we haven't already reached out to you about. Also, if you post on social media, tag at Gilman Scholarship or use the hashtag Gilman Scholarship and hashtag Exchange Our World to share your posts with Gilman about those opportunities. Now, as we near the end of our presentation, we would love to hear more from our alumni about their experiences abroad. To our alumni ambassadors, what was one way that the reality of your time abroad was different from your expectations? And Kendall, do you mind starting us off with this one?
One of my biggest expectations was that like I would be on the go the whole time because I really wanted to make the most of everything. And then I kind of really quickly hit day 3 and the jet lag hit and all of the day's activities hit and realized it was like I can't keep doing this or I'm going to push myself too much. So kind of knowing that like you're going to want to do so much, but sometimes it's okay to like you can go back to your hotel or wherever you're at and like take a breather and rest. It's okay to like take a nap. It's not going to be, you're not wasting your experience just because you need to take a break. That was my kind of biggest thing.
I'll be very transparent on this. Um, Everybody told me that the French people would be really mean. That's what they told me. And they just said Europe as a whole was less friendly and talkative than, Americans. Coming from Atlanta and spending a lot of my time in the deep South, I'm used to a lot of friendliness. So I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna hate me. I'm just gonna say hi, hello every morning. I'm gonna be loud. What if they're annoyed by that? And people would tell me, like, oh yeah, they probably won't like that. I don't know why I was listening to these people. These weren't experts, by the way. So please don't do that. Like, don't watch TikTok videos of one person who went to this country and said they had an awful experience. And it's like you can't judge a country you haven't been to. Don't do that. So I went, lovely. I mean, I also feel like it was way too pretty to be mad about anything. But that didn't happen at all. I had a wonderful time. I messed up French. They didn't get mad because who would get mad at that? You're trying a new language, and I had a whole lot of fun. And I put that completely behind me, and I don't do that anymore. I don't go on TikTok and go searching so and so experience in this country X, Y, and Z. Don't do that. Just go enjoy it for yourself, and that's your experience. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And another question before we start sort of our Q&A half of this webinar is what is one thing you both wish you had known before going abroad? And Charlie, maybe start us out.
I would say I didn't know how many people like how important studying abroad is. I didn't really know anything about it. So when I first got into the program, I definitely should have like networked way more with students from other countries who were at the college I was studying at. So there wasn't just students from America, there were students from Norway, Nigeria, there were students from Thailand, and they were all part of these really great and cool programs. And I've only just now realized like the amount of people who like there's a certain type of character with people who study abroad, and all of you in this room have that character. So like that type of character. And when I was in DC during training, like all these really cool, I guess you want to say higher up people, however you want to say it, had all gone abroad and they knew the importance of international education and international networking. And I didn't really know. So I mean, I guess I can't fault myself on not knowing, but I do fault myself on not educating myself a bit more about the importance of those relationships because I thought it wouldn't really matter. I thought it would just be one and done. And now look at me. It's like, so that's just one thing that I kind of wish I had known more about, but I don't know if that counts.
Mine, I kind of wanted to go in. I didn't do like a lot of research before going to Greece because I wanted like I felt like it was like pretty biased. So I was like, I don't really want to go in with like a bad mindset or anything. Um, which kind of like made me go on a little blind. I don't know. Like I wish there was a way to like, well, there is a way. I wish I had like found like Greek people to talk to beforehand to like learn more about like kind of like their nightlife and stuff. Because in Greece, like I didn't know that they eat dinner at like 11 p.m. That would have been really great to know when I, eat breakfast and I'm like, I'm gonna skip lunch, I'm not hungry. And then I'm like, oh wait, I can't eat for another 12 hours. Like that kind of stuff. And just, talking to people there, like in a more casual setting like social media and stuff, like reaching out that way. I kind of wish I had done that.
Great, thanks, guys. I think those are really useful experiences that you guys shared with those going abroad. Yeah. So this is a time for you guys to type in some questions to our Q&A, and we're happy to answer those. Any questions as well for Kendall and Charlie, please do write them in. But Jen, I will then throw it back to you, and we'll handle these questions.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, so great information about your alumni experiences and tips. It sounds like we have one question for our alumni ambassadors. It's what do you wish you would have done that you didn't think about while you were abroad?
Save my money. The euro is way more than the American dollar people. All right. I learned this the hard way. A credit card statement was crazy. And I didn't think about it until I came back. So please make sure you know the difference because it changes by the day. Awful. I don't know who made that up. But most of the time it's going to be higher. So that's what really got me, bit me right in the butt. So yeah.
I wish I tried more different types of food, because I love like my Mediterranean food. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Greece and I'm just gonna have their best meals. But then there were some like kind of niche meals I wish I had tried. That's my thing is like I wish I had kind of gone a little bit more out of my comfort zone and tried a couple different dishes.
Awesome. One thing I can add from our end is we have a three-part video series on budgeting with some tips on how to make the most of that while you're abroad and planning how to make the most of your award. So if you go to our website under the recipient section, you'll find that as part of our pre-departure information page. All right, keep the questions coming. We have another one that came in for the alumni ambassadors. Can you share about your Gilman projects and how you used your abroad experiences to work on them?
I can go. So I formed a really close relationship with the Office of International Affairs at my university. We have a great program at my university. I got very lucky with that because they're the ones who introduced me to Gilman and the idea of studying abroad in the first place. So through that relationship, I was able to host a series of different abroad centered events. So we had passport and pizza. I'd go pick up pizza from the local pizza place. I'd bring it back to the office, and we'd invite a bunch of students who were looking to get their passport, and we'd offer them scholarships. And we would collect funding for those programs as well to provide free passports for students to register. So that was just one of many events. I did a lot of tabling afterwards as well, focusing on spreading information about good abroad programs and scholarship programs, specifically to Gilman. That's just something I got kind of lucky with because my school was already so active. So I just kind of slid in there and like created my own. I like my face is on a lot of flyers, like the old flyers and promo events through the school. So that's always really cool to see. See like your videos, photos of yourself studying abroad. That's why documentation is so important because when you come back, you're probably going to want to use them in your project. So.
The person who ran my study abroad is also like the academic advisor for our college, so she's super active. And so when I told her that I wanted to do a project, she was super hands-on. And she just kind of let me do my thing. That was really nice for me to be able to do. I'm trying to think. For my experience, I had initially like had an idea, but changed it after going there and focused it more on like trying to connect with people there to get to know what it's like before going there was kind of how I changed my project around a little bit.
Yeah, it's great to be thinking a little bit more about your follow-on service project and things like that as you're preparing to go abroad. We also have some tips and resources for you on the alumni section of our website that can help you get thinking about that experience while you're abroad as well. Someone has a question here on the same theme of the follow-on service project about changing or revising your project. That's a great question. We do have a process for that. So if you have any questions about making any changes to your project, you can just email your regional Gilman advisor and we can work with you on that. All right. We've been answering some of your questions in the chat as well, but keep them coming. Wanted to make sure everyone had this important information. We had a question about where to access the International SOS membership card. You can find that linked in a number of places. So it will be in your Gilman portal in the recipient tab under the International SOS tile. And we also have it linked for you on our safety and health webpage on the Gilman website. So you can access that as a PDF and print it if you need to. Oh, we had one question here I can pose to the alumni. This was about thoughts on this idea of packing an Instax camera to be able to leave photos with my host family. Did either of you have any similar ideas or things like that that you did while you were abroad, or any interaction like that with either host family or friends in the country?
You had said a what camera? What was it?
An Instax camera,
Oh,
kind
okay.
of like Polaroid.
Okay.
Um, I didn't think about that, but my friend did, who's the photographer. She had a whole set. So if that's something you like to do, I definitely recommend, but just make sure you pack the space for it, like do the math in your head, because I know it can get quite bulky with certain equipment. That wasn't something I planned. It was just my iPhone and me, and that's what I worked with. But
Yeah, I just had my iPhone and I made sure to like add the people I had abroad, like their phone number or on social media. I would definitely like that sounds like a cool idea. I would do it. Just make sure you're able to like bring it on the plane. I don't think there's anything against like bringing cameras, but just double check that would be my thing.
Thank you both. One question here about documents and the process for document review. We are working through your document submissions. We are going through that as fast as we can and prioritizing by countries and program start date. So December and January starts. You should be receiving emails from us, either letting you know that your documents were approved, or if there are any edits needed, we'll let you know how to edit those as well. And as a reminder, once your documents are approved, that's when you gain access to the abroad section of your Gilman portal. So once you gain access, you will be able to go in and do things like confirm your arrival in the host country and update us on your on-site contact information. If you haven't had your documents approved yet, that's okay. Once they're approved and you gain access to the abroad tab, that's when you can go ahead and update us with your arrival confirmation as soon as possible.
Yeah, and Jen, just a plug for us to be able to approve your documents as quickly as possible, especially I know a few people have reached out about payment deadlines and trying to get the money before they go abroad. Please, please, please do reference all the award guidelines, both on our website and in that document collection tile. We have lots of information, so please make sure that the documents you're submitting are meeting those requirements. If you have questions or are not sure, do reach out to your Gilman regional advisor. We're happy to answer those. And that way, by following those guidelines, it really lets us approve those much quicker than having a back and forth volley with you, because we are in peak awarding. So do ensure that you get it right the first time by reading those guidelines.
Yes, we have lots of frequently asked questions available to you on our website, as well as really short videos to try and walk you through the portal. So please take advantage of those resources. They'll be linked in your award letter instructions on your dashboard page of your portal. We have another question here for our alumni. This is around travel to other countries. Were you able to travel to other countries outside of your program host country while you were abroad? And if so, how much did you spend or allocate in your budget to save ahead of time?
So yeah, I can definitely answer this one. So with the rail system being so good in Europe, I was able to easily go to Monaco and Italy. We probably could have gone further, but we know we had little time to travel outside of our own program. But I we compared prices for the monorail pass, and we got one that would basically last like a whole month. It was worth it because we ended up using it a lot. Sometimes we would, at the beginning, we would just individually buy separate tickets, which pretty sure they'd be like 10 or $13, like back, like um, full around, depending on what we were doing. If I can remember correctly, it wasn't a whole lot. Sometimes they wouldn't check for your ticket, but they will randomly check. So please just get it. Because like it would be like 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't check to see if we had tickets. And then that one time, the guard would come around and like ask like ticket, and he was like very serious about it. And we watched a few people get caught, but we didn't spend too much on transportation just because the rail system is so reliable. We didn't fly anywhere. I didn't really have the money for it, but some other people did. But yeah, it was easier to just straight shot it. So
I wasn't able to go anywhere else because the transportation we used was just cars, and I would not be able to travel across the country in a day. Um, but for saving, that was kind of like a really big thing because I had a tight budget. So I kind of like researched like how much like the food and stuff would cost there, and I like printed out euros. And that was kind of like my budget for the week of like I only want to spend this much money. That way you don't have to deal with like credit card fees and any of that stuff. So there is like a transaction fee though for like printing off euros. But I liked being able to like have like that money available to me and like knowing that like okay, this is how much I have. This is I'm not gonna go like into debt or anything over this.
Like we have a tip here about banking while abroad. So again, all of these questions are great, and we do provide a lot of tips, including budgeting for travel while abroad and international transaction fees and things like that. Questions to ask your bank or credit card company in our budgeting resources. So don't forget to check that out. I can put the web link in the chat as well. But that's on the Gilman website, recipients and pre-departure information. But we have a tip here from someone who wanted everyone to know some banks do charge an international transaction fee. So it may be beneficial to get money conversion beforehand and carry some cash with you. But just check with your bank or your credit card company about any fees related to using your card abroad so you know that ahead of time. But great tip. Thank you for sharing. And it looks like we have time for one or two more questions. So please get any final questions into the Q&A box before we close. One question for our alumni ambassadors. How was your workload and exploring life balance? So how did you balance doing your work for your studies or internship with exploring and getting to know your host country better?
Mine was really nice where my study abroad was like you part of like the work was just like our advisor like would take us to different places. And I didn't actually like have to like do schoolwork there until I got done being abroad because we just went during spring break. So that was really nice being able to balance that, but like outside of like our designated like where we have to go, it was pretty cool to like you most of the time like I had my evenings and so I'd spend some time like decompressing and then I'd go out, try different restaurants. They would like host like little events on like different town squares and I go to those and just making sure that like you kind of know like what's going around and like designating your time to that.
I did an intern, um, mostly because I had like a short time limit what's the word? Short window of time. The month May was good for just studying abroad. So I was level one for French because I was not good at French when I came in, and I'm still not that good now. But it was easy for me just because I am the kind of person to work like three part-time jobs on my campus and have five clubs under my belt. So don't do too much if you know you won't be able to handle it. Prioritize your classes first and foremost, because if you mess up on that, it was very awkward. I remember we were going to two islands next to the city of Cairns. Can't remember their names right now, but they're very famous. And when we were getting on the ferry, the teachers, or not the teachers, the students announced their grades out loud for some reason. And a lot of people were very unhappy with what they got. So just make sure you have that nice work life balance, because your classes are always going to be first, no matter what. And then you can go play. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all of your great questions and for all of your advice from our alumni ambassadors. Going to go ahead and just close with some last minute resources. We have our contact information here. If you have any additional questions or issues throughout your recipient requirement process, please don't hesitate to reach out to your regional Gilman advisor and utilize the resources available in your Gilman portal and on our website. Once your award documentation is approved, you can join the Gilman Scholar Network and use that directory of alumni and location-specific subgroups to connect with other Gilman scholars and Gilman alumni. We also wanted to remind you of our upcoming Ask Me Anything webinars. You can still register using the links in your Gilman Portal's award letter instructions, or just register if you can't attend live and you'll receive the recording afterward. And thanks again to our Gilman alumni ambassadors for sharing their tips and stories. And thank you all for attending our webinar today. Safe travels. Thank you. Bye.